Welcome to my Pokémon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke walkthrough, the first big series on this channel. In this series, we will be doing a hardcore Nuzlocke of the base game of Pokémon Emerald. I've put a link in the description below with the full rule set that I use, but in short, in addition to the standard Nuzlocke rules, playing on set mode, no items in battle except for held items, and we'll be playing with level caps for each gym leader and the Pokémon League. This series is going to be so much more than just your average playthrough though. In fact, I wanted to design this playthrough to be more like a guide than just simply the best moments from the Nuzlocke. I'll include some random thoughts and some remarks along the way to hopefully make the experience a little more entertaining. But generally speaking, I want the majority of the moments you see in my playthrough to be helpful in your own journey. And by doing this, I myself hope to become a better Nuzlocker as well, by learning from the mistakes I make in the process. Encounters, battles, victories, and wipes. The road from Gen 3 Casual to Emerald Master starts here. Let's do this. You know, I never will get over the fact that my parents just threw me in the back of a box truck on the way to our new home. I feel like more of a hostage than a son. Quickly change our options here, set text speed to fast, turn battle scene off for now, although I might turn it on for boss fights later. It just helps make the grind faster. And of course, we want to be on set mode. Huh, Vigoroths are a lot bigger than I thought they would be. Gotta make sure we grab this potion upstairs as well. I always like how you could just barge into anyone's house in this game as if it was totally fine. Yeah, May's mom is just like, who the fuck? Oh, it's just another child. I guess that's fine. And I've got nothing to say about it apparently. Nah, you look like you got this under control. Okay, starter selection. If you are trying to maximize your chances of success in your run, you always pick Mudkip. Mudkip is actually utterly insane in this game, arguably the best Pokemon that you can use for this Nuzlocke in general. The other options are both solid as well though, but definitely have much more downside to them. Sceptile is awesome in the late game, but Grovyle is rough to use throughout the entire early and mid game. And the Torchic line is actually the opposite. Blaziken is not as great in the late game, as this generation is fairly biased against fire types in general, but Combustion is very solid in the early and mid game. Since I want to make this run a little bit more interesting for myself, I'm going to go with Trico for my first attempt. I like to spend some time right in the beginning leveling my starter up to around level 8 or so, just to make it easier to go through the trainers ahead, and it makes it a lot safer. Trico is really frail, so this is a good time to check the nature of my Trico as well. Quiet. Meh. Well, at least we'll hit harder, which is good. Natures aren't everything, try not to pay attention to them too much. It'll just stress you out. Always make sure you get the free potion from this lady in town each attempt. Rival battle goes well as you would expect. Trico went a little bit too hard, but that's fine. Anyone else remember getting the running shoes for the first time back in 2003? That was one of the best feelings I ever had playing Sapphire for the first time. Time for our first couple encounters of the run. Route 101 I do not count personally in my runs because that is technically where you get your starter, and so I count Trico as my encounter for that route. First up is Poochyena on Route 103. Not bad. Mightyena is nice to have super early with Intimidate, gets Bite early. Black Glasses is also available pretty early as well to boost that Bite if we want it. Route 102 is next, and we actually hit the 4% chance on Ralts. Holy shit. This run is going to be interesting, although Kirlia can be tough to use with how frail she is as well, plus Psychic types in general aren't as great in Emerald with the metric fuck ton of Dark types that are all over the place. It's definitely an interesting pickup, but I definitely think I would have rather had Lotad. I don't want to spend any time leveling either Ralts or Poochyena at this point, as neither of them are great for the first or second gym, but we'll have to see what our next encounters are as we get closer to Rustboro City. After watching Wally get his own Ralts, we're ready for another encounter. Oh, Jesus, that's right. I keep forgetting this guy exists. Yeah, you better be sorry. Our next encounter is Wurmple on Route 104. Not a bad pickup. Will be useful either way for the second gym. I spent the time to switch train him now so that we can have a second usable team member. Ends up being a Cascoon, which is absolutely huge. Dustox is definitely preferred over Beautifly in every scenario. Brawly is now essentially going to be a totally free, as well as Norman slacking. I'll talk about that more when we get there. Now for the Petalburg Woods encounter, and it's a slack off. Jesus Christ, I'm getting all the rare encounters this run so far. Slacking can be an okay late game Pokemon based on what I've read, but he's just very finicky to use. Only being able to attack every other turn just requires a lot of planning ahead. Vigoroth may be okay to use though for the time being, we'll see. Silk Scarf boosted strength does sound pretty decent. I sweep up the rest of the trainers in Petalburg Woods, and in the process I evolved my Cascoon into Dustox. He'll be integral in my fight against Brawly at the second gym, but for now, I do need to dump my experience into at least one other Pokemon so I don't go over the first gym's level cap of 15 with my Trico. Ah yes, a grown man cowering behind a 10-year-old, a staple for most Pokemon games. Finally in Rustboro. Ah, the Cutter's House. Sounds like a place I should enter without supervision. We need a couple of more levels for our Trico before we go into the first gym, so we're going to head to Route 116 to the northeast to farm some trainer battles and pick up our next 2 encounters as well. Before you do head out there though, make sure you bring 1 Repel with you so that you can run through all of this grass without getting your encounter just yet. We want to get our guaranteed Whismur encounter first from Whismur Cave at the end of this route. This is because there is a chance you can get a Whismur as your encounter on Route 116, and if that happens, you've basically wasted an encounter, which we definitely do not want to do, especially considering that Tailo is a possible encounter on this route. Alright, now that we have sacrificial fodder for later, let's see what we get on Route 116. Jesus freaking Christ. Alright, well, here goes nothing. Oh, geez. Alright, wow. Ralts and now Abra. These actually aren't that great of encounters, especially because I am also not playing with trade evolutions this run, so this encounter is basically really bad. I already have Dustox to sweep Brawly, and Kadabra isn't very useful anywhere else, but this is just ridiculous. So far, our future Watson fight is looking kinda sketch, I'm not gonna lie. With the super early game finally out of the way, it's time to take on Roxanne. So I equip an Oran Berry to both Trico and Dustox, and I head in. After absorbing several Geodudes, we begin the battle with Roxanne. She leads with 2 Geodudes as well, which are swiftly absorbed like the others. But then her ace comes out. A lot of people take this Pokemon for granted, but they shouldn't. Roxanne is not a free fight with Trico. Far from it. I start out with an Absorb that barely does any damage, and Roxanne quickly follows up with a Rock Tomb that takes out nearly half of my HP. You see that? That's what you call not free. And we get a speed drop as well, so we're speed tied now. Luckily, Roxanne's AI is awful, and so Nosepass ends up going with a useless Harden on the next turn. But what scares me more was the next move, Block. Well, you better bring this one home, buddy, because you're stuck now. After the potion, I was actually sweating quite a bit. This was not looking good if she chose to spam Rock Tomb instead of Tackle. Well, that ended up being a huge fucking if, because guess what? She didn't use Rock Tomb. Once she was out of potions, Nosepass just spammed Tackle over and over again for some reason, throwing the entire battle and giving us our first gym badge. First boss completed, and our Trico evolved as well. And with that, Episode 1 of the Pokémon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke walkthrough is done. We ended up getting some very interesting encounters so far, and I'm really excited to see where this will lead us. In the next episode, we'll look to grab a few more encounters, go over more tips and tricks along the way, and take on Brawly and beyond. I'm super excited about this new series, and I hope you are as well. Please like the video and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know what other kinds of content you would like to see me do in the future. That's it for me. I'll see you next time.